I encourage entrepreneurs to go through a 3-step process, which is eliminate, automate, delegate. You look at the work that you're doing. Maybe you shouldn't be doing it at all. There's often things that we're doing that we think are really high value that then turn out to not matter. I wrote down minutes for what everybody said and nobody cared. If I didn't do it again next month, nobody cared. It's like, wow, I've been spending all this time on something that like nobody cared about, that I thought was high value, but was actually zero value for people. Maybe it was even negative value. Maybe I was annoying them with it. I don't know. So eliminate first. Oh my goodness.
Hey, Evan.
There she is.
There she is. This is a podcast about life and where we have conversations with entrepreneurs and we go behind the scenes. My guest today is none other than Evan Carmichael. And Evan, I'm a big fan of your work. One thing that I really love about you is that you lead from the heart. You mentor a lot of people, you coach a lot of people. I am a part of your community. And the thing that drew me to you is the attention that you pay to the people that you serve, because it's always coming from the heart. And because of you, because of the service that you do to everybody in your community, it just makes me want to be more. So thank you for what you do and welcome to the podcast, Evan.
Wow, well, that's quite the intro. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Awesome. So right here, we go behind the scenes with entrepreneurs, and I'm looking at speaking to especially Canadian entrepreneurs, and you are one of the top people on my list in terms of who I look up to, who I want to be like in lots of ways. And the thing I want to dive into right away is, I know you've said a lot of times that most entrepreneurs get the sequencing wrong in terms of what they have to do with their businesses. So I want to go with you. What was it like for you? When did you know it was time to get a team?
So interesting. I mean, I've been saying a lot, I guess, recently about the sequencing, maybe more inside Mover Makers than anything else. But I think I could probably talk about it more. I don't know that I've been vocal enough about people getting the sequencing wrong, because I think that really holds a lot of people back. It's just they have big ideas and it's all achievable. They're just doing it in the wrong order and the wrong steps, and so they end up staying stuck. So thank you for bringing that up, and maybe we'll dive deeper. When did I realize I needed a team? I like figuring things out. And when I first started my YouTube stuff, I already had a successful web publishing business. And so I did everything myself on the YouTube channel. I was in front of the camera, I was behind the camera. That's actually not true. My very first video, I had my friend Mark Drager create. Every video afterwards, I did myself for a while. And I realized that I could just go a lot faster with somebody else. My hesitation has been spending money on team, because I grew up without a lot of money. And in my first business, making $300 a month and eating beans every day for lunch and all that fun stuff. And I was cheap, and I still am maybe too cheap. Like I probably should be. I've had to fight it. I probably should spend more than I do. I'm way better than I used to be, but I could probably do even more. I'd probably be even bigger and impacting more people if I spent a little bit more money. But for me, my justification was, okay, I need to get something to the point where I'm making some money to be able to hire a team to help me go do the next thing. So the first person I hired in this side of the business was somebody to edit videos. So if you look at the roles of, like, I was researching ideas, I was coming up with my topics and scripts, I was filming the videos, I was acting in the videos or performing, whatever you want to call it, in front of the camera and behind the camera, and editing. And probably a host of other things, thumbnail designs and titles and everything to get a YouTube video up. And it's like, okay, what do I like the least here? And it was editing.
Okay.
I don't like editing. And so I hired a part-time editor. And in doing that, it allowed me to go from a video a week to a video a day.
Okay. Wow, that's huge.
That was a big jump. And so I was making my decisions, and I'm very pragmatic, and again, maybe to a fault. I was making my decisions on hiring based off of what I was as opposed to what I could be. So what I was making one video a week, and I got to the point where I was making money doing that I could hire a part-time editor. But in hiring that person, it got me to making a video a day, which then brought in more money, which then I could spend even more on team. And so I have that struggle of investing ahead of the curve. Again, way better at it now. We're investing so much in different projects that I don't even know if they're going to pay off or not, but based off of current budgets and what's working. So that was my approach. It's like, okay, I'm making some money. What is the thing that I hate the most, but that needs to get done? And how do I hire somebody to help me do it?
So was video editing the person you first hired more because your business is around videos? And that would be different for entrepreneurs in different spaces, or what's
Yeah.
your
So
thought
like
on that?
I was looking at my kind of YouTube business. So inside my YouTube business, then video editing was a thing that needed to be done, was very important. And I didn't like doing it. So I hired somebody to help me. But yes, that should be the role. I encourage entrepreneurs to go through a 3-step process, which is eliminate, automate, delegate.
Okay.
So you look at the work that you're doing, and maybe you shouldn't be doing it at all. Like before you give it to somebody else, maybe it just shouldn't get done. And there's often things that we're doing that we think are really high value that then turn out to not matter. And we may not even notice it, right? I mean, before Movement Makers, I had a mastermind that I ran in Toronto for entrepreneurs. And when people joined, we took minutes, like notes of what was happening. Like I took minutes. This is before AI could do it for you and transcripts. Like I wrote down minutes for what everybody said and homework and assignments and everything. And there was 1 month where I forget what happened. Like I was going away the next day or something, and I didn't get the notes out to people after the meeting. Nobody cared. Like no response, no message, no like, hey, where's the minutes? Where's the notes? And so I didn't do it again next month. Nobody cared. It's like, wow, I've been spending all this time on something that like nobody cared about, that I thought was high value, but was actually zero value for people. Maybe it was even negative value. Maybe I was annoying them with it. I don't know. And so eliminate first, so, I mean, a lot of entrepreneurs might be frustrated with their accounting and bookkeeping. You cannot eliminate that, right? Like that has to get done.
Yeah.
You will run into problems if you try to eliminate that from your business, right?
And I was going to go into that for you, but yeah, keep going.
Yeah, the government will come for you. That is a big problem, unless you live in some country that doesn't move to the moon or something. But yeah, that's a problem. So you can't eliminate that. But there's a lot of things that we're doing that just should not be done. They just be completely eliminated. The next is automate. So before giving it to a human, give it to technology. So use software, use tools, use AI, use QuickBooks, there's a lot of things. There's software and tools for a lot of things that you should start applying into your business that can save a lot of man hours. And then you get to delegate. So eliminate, automate, and then delegate. And so these are the things that still have to get done, but should not be done by you. So in eliminate, they shouldn't be done at all. In automate, they need to be done, but should be done by a human. And then in delegate, it should be done, but shouldn't be done by you. It has to be done by another human. And that's where you start to scale and build and create. And I still like struggle with this, right? It's an ongoing battle of, I've got 42 people on my team. Why am I not at 500 people on my team? Well, because I'm still like last week was working on my thumbnails, right?
So why do you still work on thumbnails? Do you work on it?
Well, I have 3 people on my team who do thumbnails, but I want to tinker with it. Like I want to, Mid-Journey launches some new feature and I want to try it out for my thumbnails, and I want to try to beat my best thumbnail design that we've had. And it probably, there's a level where it makes a little bit of sense, but I do it too much. Mm-hmm. And honestly, if I'm being honest with myself, it's probably, that is an easier path to grow. Like it's the shorter path to a lesser goal than a bigger goal, but I don't know the path. And so in doing the deeper work to figure out the path to the bigger goal, it's easier to do the smaller stuff, which feeds the dopamine and like is getting results. It's helping I'm not off like, I don't know, bungee jumping or doing something like completely unrelated. It helps my business and it's high value, but it's not as high value as it could be. And so, yeah, it's an ongoing, it's the awareness. Once you catch it, then it's okay. I caught it. Now I have to do it. I catch it and keep doing it, catch it and keep doing it. And slowly get better.
It's actually something that I still do struggle with because, like, I'm trying to build my team at the same time. And there's certain things I just feel like I do better than everybody else, which I guess a lot of us new entrepreneurs struggle with that, because it gets to the point where you have to eliminate, automate, and delegate. But I think the delegation part is the hardest one. So how did you get over that? I know you still struggle with it a little bit, but you have been able to scale to a really large extent, and you had to find a way to delegate. So what was your thought process behind that, and how did you get
It's
to
figuring
manage
out
it?
what are you actually great at. Because in the thing that you say you're great at, uh, there's like 5% where it's like, wow, you're actually like world class at, and the other 95% you're really really good at, and you're better than your whole team at. But there are people who are better than you at it, and it's actually not that complicated to train if you really wanted to, or find the right person, right? But it's the effort to find the person and to train them that we don't want to go through, and it's also fun to do that stuff sometimes, right? So am I the best thumbnail designer in the world? No.
No.
Right? Like, is that my unique ability? Am I great at that? No, I'm pretty kick-ass, but I'm not the best in the world. I'm nowhere close to being the best in the world. And so really, if I put my Evan advice hat on to myself, like, I should be out hiring those people, because I'm great at spreading belief. I'm great at building teams. Like, I'm people love working for me. It sounds like a egotistical thing to say, but like,
Well, it's not.
I love teams. I love leading people. I love being a mentor and a guide. And so in theory, I should be great at keeping people and giving them meaningful work. I shouldn't be spending my time doing thumbnails. And so, like, Evan, go out and hire 10 thumbnail designers and have them work on your videos, right? Like, this has become a therapy session here, Ida, you know.
Well, it's great that you mentioned
Where's
the
the
unique
couch? Why am
ability.
I not lying down doing this? Feel very
Well, this
naked
is
and
good.
exposed here. But yeah, but I'm really good at it. And training, it's easy to get caught up in the story of, well, training somebody's too hard, and I don't know who the best person is. I don't know who the best person is. I don't know who that person is. So it's a lot easier for me to go off and do it myself than to put in the effort that might take weeks to find the person to do it. And so that's where I think a lot of entrepreneurs get stuck in a trap of, they just keep doing it themselves. They either convince themselves that they're the best, which there's a slight bit of truth, because you're only 5% the best at it. Like, if I'm working with a thumbnail designer, I should be just injecting new ideas and then letting them go and do their thing, because they're definitely better at Photoshop than I am. Like,
Right.
that is not my unique ability.
Right.
But it's the awareness, and it's pointing it out, and we can easily convince ourselves of these lies, but they then keep you stuck and keep you small and keep the growth not where it wants to be. So, if you're looking at your business, you're better than a lot of your team at the things. Great, but that's just your current team. What's a team that you want to build and create? And if you had somebody who was kick-ass at knowing whatever the tax code, like, are you going to be
Yeah.
the Canadian tax code expert? Like, that's
No.
not exciting, right?
Right now.
But
If I could have that person, I'd much rather have them doing it, because there's other things. You mentioned unique ability, right? There's other things that I'm really, really great at, and which also bringing in those people, like having those conversations that would lead to the business. I'm great at those. But if somebody could take on the next part of it, then I think it makes it possible to also go 10x, right? You talked
yeah,
about the unique ability. Yeah.
so that's what it comes down to. It's like, right now, you're the best person at tax code in your company, and you've tried to bring on other people, and they may not be as good. And as you get higher up, it's harder to find people who are better than you at tax code stuff. But there are, and there are hundreds of people who are better than you at tax code people. There's not a million people, but there are
Yeah.
hundreds of people who are better than you at this thing. But you're still really kick ass, like, you're really, really good. But it's not the thing that you want to be world class at, because you're just not going to dedicate enough time to be. You don't want to be that person. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, you don't want to be that person. So then it becomes, okay, how do I find that person? And then, is it I just can't afford that person right now? Is that I don't know who they are, so I don't even know how to find them. But once you identify the problem, you can go and solve it. Like,
Yeah.
I could afford a thumbnail designer. I don't know who they are. Right. So now, but I can go find them, right? Like, if I put
Yeah.
effort and energy towards it, I can go find, and I should. And so now this is public. So I'm going to go and do this. I got to go find some thumbnail designers. Thank you, Ida. This is great.
Okay. So in your
Turn into a
three-step process, you
self-coaching
talked about
session here. This is perfect.
Oh, thank you. So in your three-step process, you talked about eliminate, automate, and delegate. And I'm looking at this and I'm looking at my notes that I made here. I was saying before your business became multi-million dollar businesses and investing in other people, how did you handle your accounting and how is that different from what you do right now?
Okay. Wow. Let me think back. Accounting was one of the first things I gave up because that I legit hate. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs are in the same boat. They legitimately hate it, but it has to get done. Like you cannot eliminate it. You can automate it to a certain extent, but you cannot eliminate it. And you can't fully automate it either. So I would split it up into a couple of things. The first path was I recognized that I had to get done, which is great because a lot of entrepreneurs at the beginning, like, oh, I have to pay taxes. I have to collect sales tax. What? And then they get hit with this crazy audit or tax bill. Like you've probably seen it. It's like, so I knew enough
Other times
about that. So that was I'm off to a great start. I used Microsoft Money at the beginning, me personally. And I did that because I could download my TD statements right into Microsoft Money, and it remembered all of my old transactions, so that if I bought something from my Rogers cell phone bill would automatically be tagged the next time you imported it, right? So that's some automation, right? You can import your statements, it automatically remembers a thing. Perfect. Then as we grew, I have a pretty simple business, so it's not, we don't have like assets, we don't have inventory, where it's like it's a pretty easy business to operate. So the accounting is not crazy complicated. As we grew, what I realized I needed more of than just bookkeeping was tax planning. So when you're not making money, tax planning doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right? But it's like, okay, as you're making money, the tax planning becomes even more important. So we graduated through 4 different accountants, each which were great for where we were at.
Yeah.
But then it becomes a lot more specific to your business and to understanding the tax code, all the things that are like way above my head or level of interest. But that was a gradual process. Like if I started with the firm that we're at now, which is a mid-sized firm in Toronto, it wouldn't have made sense. Like they're too expensive for somebody who's just, I think my accounting fees at the beginning were like $2,000 a year, maybe $1,500 a year or whatever.
Yeah.
That's like that's an entry level solo person kind of fee. And then it gets more expensive as you go up, depending on what you need. So there's the bookkeeping side of things so that you don't get in trouble with the law and you don't have the government chasing you down, right? But then there's the strategy side of things. And I mean, I'm not telling you anything new. It was like I had to learn as I was going through it.
Yeah,
It's
you're
the
saying your
strategy
process,
side
right? What
like,
happened
okay,
for you?
I'm legit. Like I'm not gonna get audited in a negative way and get penalized. But I'm paying way too many taxes. Like this is ridiculous. How much I'm like even that most of our income, we get an HST credit every year because my income is almost all from the US and a lot of my expenses are Canadian. And I didn't even know, like, oh, I can get a credit? Like the government will pay me every year? What? This is great, right? All of these things that I didn't know you could do. Insurance strategies, had no idea what you could do. And so, yeah, it was a total disaster. But I think it's like what most people learn along the way is like, oh, you should have a business credit card and not a personal credit card and put everything on it, right?
Yeah.
The basic things that like everybody makes a mistake on. But I think accounting is one of those things that feels complicated, feels overwhelming, and can be, but also has very high repercussions if you get it wrong. Like you do not want the government coming after you. So at the beginning, you're less worried about, am I saving money on taxes? And you're more worried about, like, am I getting my numbers in properly? Because most people end up pulling their hair out trying to figure out accounting and end up at the end of the year with like shoebox full of receipts and like not knowing what to do and trying to scan it in and like not knowing how to classify things. Like, oh my gosh, I hate my life. And
don't do that.
if you're already a busy, stressed out entrepreneur, like that's the last thing you need at year end.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's one of the hires that if you can, entrepreneurs, get somebody on board, get somebody like Ida, helping you earlier on, and ideally not with like a week before year end.
Oh my God, no. That's a time you cannot get anybody.
Yeah, to help, because it frees up it's basically an investment in your time. It frees up your time to go focus on actually building your business, as opposed to just being an expense of, okay, well, IDA's going to cost me whatever $1,000 to make it happen.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. So going back to sequencing then, because a lot of entrepreneurs have a place where they're trying to build their team, maybe take a certain decision. So in terms of building a team, getting office space, and creating content, sequence for all of those.
Building a team, getting office space, and creating content. So what is our goal? What are we trying to create?
What are you trying to create? Say, okay, because right now everything is on social media, right? And if you're trying to build your business, you need to actually be out there creating the awareness for yourself. But in order to creating awareness about that, you're there. But in order to create that awareness, maybe you need the team so you can free up the space, free up your time to go do all of that. And also thinking of okay, maybe you're a service-based business where you meet people face-to-face, then you need to then have an office space. Or because most people at the beginning, they're meeting people in restaurants and stuff like that. So it's about, you have limited resources in a way, time and money, and you have to do all of those things. So where should priority go?
Yeah. So I think it depends on the business. So I think your actions need to map to your ambitions. What you work on first needs to make you have progress as fast as possible towards your goal. So, should I go to law school or not? Like, well, do you want to be a lawyer?
Yeah.
Right. Like, then it matters. If you want to be an accountant, you have to have a designation. You can't just call yourself an accountant in Canada. Yeah. Maybe some other countries, I don't know.
CPA, yeah.
You have to go and get your certification. But if you want to be an entrepreneur, it doesn't matter what. Nobody cares that I went to University of Toronto when I graduated with finance and economics. Like, nobody ever asked me that. And so should I go to university or not? Well, depends on what you want to go off and accomplish. Like, I think if you wanted to learn to be an accountant, you'll actually get better learning by working with an IDA. Like, go work with an accountant. You'll learn more than you will at school, but you still need to go to school to be able to get, otherwise it's never going to happen for you.
Yeah.
So do I need office space? Well, it depends on the business, right? Like Toronto Dance Salsa, we teach salsa. We have the largest salsa school in Canada, maybe North America. We need space to teach people dancing. Like, that can't be done virtually. So we need space to do it.
Yeah.
Team might be your first step. Like, with all of it, is trying to figure out what's my first step, and then how do I hack my way to do it. So with Toronto Dance Salsa, we needed space before team. We needed space before content. But the way that we did it was we partnered with gyms in Toronto who were closed during the evenings and had extra space. So lots of gyms like in North York and downtown Toronto, they just weren't open at night, or they had one of their gymnasiums open, or churches, and we just used their space instead of getting our own. Like, right now, it's 6 figures a year in rent for our main studio. Right? I'm not going to pay that at the beginning. That's not happening. But space was a thing that we needed because you couldn't teach people how to dance salsa just online or through social media. Yeah. If team is your most important thing that you need to figure out, cool, then how do you hack your way to a team? Like, do you have interns working for you? Do you have, in my first business, we had people who were foreign language students who came to Toronto and they interned for us. They weren't allowed to get paid. It was illegal for them to get paid because they were here on a student visa. And so we gave them relevant work experience, and they helped build a lot of stuff to help our company. Social media is probably the easiest answer of all of those, because creating content is marketing, and marketing solves a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Like, the biggest problem for most people is marketing. So I think the safest answer is create content, start building a message, start getting it out there to the world, start getting customers, because once you have customers, you have money, you can solve the other problems. So it's probably the most, like, 80% of the time, the blanket answer, but it depends on the business that you're in and what you're trying to accomplish. Like, your goals need to map up. Your actions to map up to accomplishing your goals.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. So I want to be respectful of your time. I have one last question for you before you go. So you know me a little bit. So I just want to ask, this is a question now from me. What do you think I need to be doing better overall? Where do I suck?
Wow, what a question. What does Ida need to be doing better? I think like a lot of people, it's stepping into a bigger role. You know, I think for the journey that you've been on and where you've come from and the business that you built up, it's like it's really impressive. You know, like Ida from 10 years ago would look at Ida now. It's like, you're going to be doing this. You have your own business. You're making money. You have team. You're doing a podcast. You're like inspiring people. You're making TikTok videos. You'd be like, what? Who is this Ida? Right? It's like, it's impossible. So you are an impossibility to 2013 Ida. It's like, there's no way you're going to go off and do this thing. Right? What year did you even move to Canada?
2010.
Great. Okay. So like, just imagine you're here for 3 years. All the things that you've built up and created is very impressive. And it's you being capable of so much more. So just like me, I need to go hire my thumbnail designers. Like, you need to go find those people so that now we're not charging, whatever a one-off client is, and charging to get the monthly clients who value you and respect you a lot more. It's like, I went through accountants on my journey up to the place where we're at now. You could go through clients, like your clients may not graduate, but you could graduate your clients, where you're now working with bigger clients who value your perspective and the strategy side of things even more.
Yeah.
And so it's you stepping into that bigger role, and I mean, I need to do it too. And that never ends, like once I get to that one, it's like, well, now I can go and do this one. So same thing. It's like, here's the thing, like, how to do what you're doing very well. You're not having clients pissed off at you, right? Like, people love working with you. So you know how to do what you're doing right now very well. And it's easy to stay just doing that because you're delivering, you're making money, you're helping people. Great. It's the knowing that you could be doing a lot more. And it's like, okay, so when does that actually decide to come out and say, okay, I've had enough? Like the whole thumbnail thing for me, that might be like 6 months of me talking about that, right? And now it's like, okay, wow, man, okay, shoot. Okay, Ida, okay, we're gonna do it. Like, after this, I have to go put out some job ads for thumbnail designers. Like, I gotta take some action on it, because now I'm gonna be pissed off if I see your face again and I haven't done anything about thumbnails. It's like, oh no, Ida, it's a reminder that I suck and I haven't done my homework, right? And so like, we all have these things. So like, what does that, like, you're doing too much work that is not within your unique ability and other people are capable of doing. And so it's like finding the person to help take over those things. It's increasing your prices. It's attracting and working with higher level entrepreneurs and businesses. And that doesn't happen overnight, but it starts with the decision. Like, when am I going to get my thumbnail designer? I don't know. Like, it may take me a year to find the right person, but it starts with the decision to say, okay, all right, okay, you know what? Now it's time. I'm going to do it. We're going to do it. It's time to step up. So I think you're ready for your next the
next
shedding of the skin, for the next caterpillar to butterfly evolution. Yeah, you're ready. And so time to step into it.
Let's do it. Well, thank you so much, Evan. Because of what you do, I've told you this before, but because of what you do every single day, you make it possible for people like us to believe more in ourselves, because you believe so much more in us. So thank you very much for what you do, and thank you so much for your time today.
Let's go. Thank you for having me, Ida.